Hi, friends. How are you? I hope you had a wonderful weekend. And if you are a mom, I hope you had a wonderful Mother's Day weekend and that it was relaxing and that you got your cup refilled. Um, Moms often are the ones going and doing and working and taking kids to doctor's appointments and all that fun stuff. We balance a lot. And so I hope you got to take time for yourself and do something just for you. I had the best Mother's Day. My husband and I went out on a date night Saturday night. We went to Pinky's. Dock and Roll was playing. We love when Dock and Roll plays. My husband worked with one of the physicians at Carolina East, and I do Taekwondo with one of them. And so we always try to go when they're playing. I think they play there like once a month. And that was a good time. We had a friend in town and went out with him. So it was good to spend some time with him. Met up with some of our Taekwondo friends, had some drinks, danced a little. That was a lot of fun. And then for those that are avid readers, I started and finished a book yesterday. And I rarely have time to like sit and read. Big audio book fan. But for me, I really enjoyed having the time to go sit. I sat out on the back porch, was overlooking the river, and it was raining, and the rain was hitting the roof, and it was just a perfect day to sit outside and just read. And for those that ask, I thought this would be a good. So this is the book that I started and finished yesterday. It's Hooked. It is a dark romance. So, but I will tell you that what drew me to this book, and it's not very long. It's like 320 something pages. Anyway, what drew me to this book at Books A Million last week was the opening, the dedication, who it's to is for anyone who has been the villain in someone else's story. And that's how we're going to start today's Fairfield Harbour podcast. So it is Candidates Week. We have, and I think this is going to be really loud. And the reason why is I'm learning some new things and I'm going to be sharing a video here in a minute. But maybe I can turn it down just a smidge for a second so I don't blow your eardrums out. But it is Candidates Week. So we have Candidates Night coming up on May 15th at 7 p.m. And we have a bunch of information coming out about candidates. So one of the things that we're going to talk through, well, not one of the things, we are going to talk through all the information that we have so far on these candidates, all of them. I think it's important that for those of us that are able to vote, that we are well versed in who all of the candidates are running. There are 5 people that have thrown their name into the candidate hat for 2 open positions on the POA Board of Directors. Really quickly, let me see if I can share this one screen. Hold on a second. Let's see what I can do. That's not the screen I wanted to share. Here. Okay. So let's bring this over here. Well, anyway, let me get back over here. That kind of just took me all off of where I was trying to be. Okay. Let's see what we got. Sometimes it really doesn't pay. Okay. So these are our current POA board members. So as you can see, in June of 2025, 2 of our current board of director members roll off. That's Les Pendleton. He currently acts as our president. And then we have Debbie Harris, who is, she was asked to step into the board when a position became vacant since our last election. So she has been filling in a position for us, and her term ends June of 2025. So these other folks, Kevin is our treasurer and Rhonda is our board secretary. And these other folks, I really like this POA board page because it tells you not only the role that they serve, but when their term ends and gives you contact information. So that's nice. We did get an email on Friday the 9th. I think my email came out. What time does this say? I am blind as a bat and it's getting worse. 9:30 in the morning. And let's see if I can make this bigger because I'm blind. We're going to read it. Okay. So Fairfield Harbor Property Owners Association Bulletin candidates for the 2025 Fairfield Harbor Property Owners Association Board of Electors or Board of Directors election. Attached are the bios in alphabetical order for the 5 candidates who are running for 2 open seats on the board this year. Candidates night is this week, May 15th at 7 p.m. So this came out last week. I'm recording this week. The reason why I changed that. At the community center. For those who cannot make it to candidates night, a link will be provided the following week so that you can view the event. We are, and let me just say, it is going to be recorded. A link will be made live after. And I believe Al's going to be the one recording it. I know that there have been people that have asked the office, have asked various board members, have asked me directly if I was live streaming. I know people have been told that they could not find anyone to live stream. I just want to reiterate on this platform, since it's mine, that if you are told that they could not find anybody to live stream next week or this candidates night, that is incorrect information. I have offered and was told that my services were not needed. So, and I think from what I am hearing, because nobody talks to me directly, but I think from what I am hearing, there is concern over the live comments because I do use a platform that allows folks to interact with me. And I personally like to hear what people have to say and like to interact with my community here. So I personally don't feel like live streaming and having active live comments is a bad thing, right? You just have to be able to have some rules and guidelines for how people interact in the comments section, have a moderator, if you will. So anyway, we are using electronic voting again, like we did last year, so it's important for you to update your primary email for your lots. If you own multiple lots, your vote will be weighted with the amount of lots owned, and it will show on your ballot. If you own 2 lots and each lot has a different email for the primary contact, you will show the weight of 1 ballot. To avoid, which I think is funny, right? Because they told us specifically that if you own multiple lots, like we have been told, especially with the RFID thing that has just come out, that you cannot have multiple email addresses, or I'm sorry, you cannot share the same email address. That's what we were told when we asked some questions about the RFID, is that if you have 2 people at the same residence, right, you need to have 1 email address on file. If you have multiple properties, it is 1 email address on file, that you cannot have 2 separate emails access the same. And maybe I have that backwards. There hasn't been a whole lot of information posted about that. But I do know specifically that we were told that you have 1 email address, right? So here, if you have separate email addresses, your ballot counts as 1. Whereas if you own multiple properties that share a singular email address, your ballot is weighted based on the number of properties that share that singular email address. So I think just for those that are going to listen, I think it would be valuable to just have a constant, if you have multiple properties, you have an email address per property. If you have multiple properties, you have 1 email address per property. Like, we should just make a standard, because it gets really confusing between voting and RFID and all this other stuff. If we can do something one way for one and one way for another, right? Like, it's a lot. Same with the dues, right? Like, we have 2 different email addresses for both of our properties here, and I can't even see one of our properties. I just have to drop off checks and or make inquiries about the other. So, yeah, I it's interesting. Anyway, to avoid any frustration on June 2nd, when the ballot links will be sent out, please take time in the next 3 weeks to verify your email in Appfolio to be sure the link is sent to your preferred email address. There is a 2-week time frame to get your vote submitted to Vote HOA Now. Paper ballots will be mailed only to those who have no email on file. All ballots will be verified by an independent accounting firm, Ernie and Co. Signed, Rhonda Miller. Again, she's our secretary for the board. Okay, so let me see. Attached. We do have an attachment down here, and it is the bios of all 5 of our candidates. One of our candidates ran before and was on a previous candidates night, and I will play that. He has posted, I believe I saw it on Fairfield Harbour, that while he is throwing his name in the hat, and I think it reads a little odd in the bio because it says he has no current or past affiliation with the board or anyone on the board. The way it reads, we'll read it together, so I'm saying the right thing. But he has done a candidates night before, and he says that his views have not changed, although his knowledge of the community has only increased the longer he's been here, of course. So let's just pull up. Again, these are in alphabetical order. Again, I'm going to have to make this bigger because I'm old. This is Wayne Anderson. Wayne Anderson's bio. Nice professional picture. Joni and I moved into our forever home in September 2023 after a 3-year search in North Carolina. We concluded that New Bern, particularly Fairfield Harbour, offered the right mix of small town neighborhoods with a small city amenities nearby. We have lived in the HOA community for 30 years. So in an HOA community for 30 years. I have worked in the HOA business for 33 years, starting with original construction and advancing to maintenance and management. I have been involved in all aspects of HOAs, from serving as the president of the board where we resided to chairing board and annual owners meetings for the communities where I worked. Along with my experience in HOAs, I have acted as chair of my church council and its board of trustees. I chaired my town's building committee, served on the zoning board for appeals, the zoning board of appeals and its charter revision commission. I was active in leadership positions at my local Masonic Lodge, being honored as Mason of the Year in 2023. These roles have equipped me with skills in leadership, achieving objectives, and most importantly, collaborating with others, whether they are fellow board members, volunteers, or homeowners. However, none of this experience prepared me for what unfolded in Fairfield Harbour in the past 2 years. Apparently, in response to decisions made by the POA Board of Directors at that time, an atmosphere of discord, incivility, and even hostility developed. This divided neighbors and friends while undermining the quality of life we sought when choosing Fairfield Harbour. Changes are essential. I have learned that everything starts with respecting others, even those with whom I might disagree. Everyone deserves to be heard. Dialogue is beneficial. Shouting and disrespect towards others is not acceptable. Communication and information must be timely and precise. Records must be readily available. Additionally, questions must receive prompt answers. Openness, candor, and forthrightness can alleviate much distrust and suspicion. Yes, we need an elected board of directors to oversee the community. However, it must operate within the framework approved by the owners, members financing it. Our outdated bylaws need a review and an update to reflect these realities. Major decisions such as annual budgets, capital purchases, development projects, sales or purchases of property, preservation of open spaces, and building use affect all 2,762 lot owner members. These issues should be determined by our votes, not solely by the 5 votes of the board of directors. Let the people vote. And he quotes one of the signs that we've had up in the community for years. There are even houses along Broad Creek Road that comes into our community that have touted let the people vote. That's all a lot of us have asked for. I possess the necessary experience and knowledge to implement these changes. I am committed to all aspects of our community management and will adhere to them should I earn your vote as a director of Fairfield Harbour Property Owners Association. Unity for the community. All right. And then we have Lee Fossett. And for those that live in Fairfield Harbour, you will know that Lee and, gosh, I'm horrible with names. Lee and Wayne are running together. So if you see the blue signs throughout the neighborhood, they are running together. So you'll see their names side by side. Okay. Here's Lee, big smile. My wife and I are relatively new residents in Fairfield Harbour. We sought an active, engaged community, hopefully with some heritage and culture. Perhaps some respite from Florida's heat and hurricanes would be a bonus. We got it all. The first community event was the 33rd, I think, consecutive Christmas concert, and we were blown away. A community that can partner to present something like that for 33 consecutive years says a lot about your neighbors. Homeowners here are engaged in countless clubs, boating, fishing, and just casual nature walks at sunset. It appeared to be the perfect place for us. As an engineering graduate from Purdue University, I spent 25 years as an engineer and a manager for a number of manufacturing firms, dealing with products ranging from aircraft to fire trucks. As my career evolved, I progressed to serve as manager of business planning, manufacturing manager, and sales manager. Those positions gave me the perspective and understanding of the tools required to manage large and complex projects and the staff needed to complete them. After retiring from my engineering career, my wife and I decided to start our own business. We started a staffing and professional recruiting agency. We became quite successful and we were in business for 26 years. As a small business person, you learn and understand the importance of customer service, employee relations, and listening. In my business career, we moved several times and lived in several communities. I have served on 3 HOA POA boards in Florida. In 2, I served as the treasurer. I thought I knew what I expect when I attended the FHPOA budget presentation for the 2024 fiscal year. The lack of understanding, the disregard for consensus, and the general disrespect in the discussions were a shock. I quickly realized this was not an isolated incident. It became clear to me that our community has a pressing need for leadership that understands the foundations of a strong community, honest communications, full disclosure, and property owner involvement in all decisions that significantly impact the fiscal health and the way of life of the community. How do we bring our community back to the picture we all came for? We need to adopt a reasonable and understandable operating plan and budget that is open and supported by members within the context of open membership meetings. We need an operating and financial plan that restores the community and returns it to the basics. Approval of major capital expenditures will be by referendum vote by all members. All our finances will be transparent, and we will revise our outdated bylaws. Basic infrastructure, maintenance, and repair will be a priority. Our open space will be protected by respecting the property owner's wishes. Your voice and vote count. If elected, I pledge to listen carefully and respect the best interests of the community so that we can move confidently into the future. And he provides his contact information. Okay, so since those two are running together, I am going to quickly share, if I can. Goodness gracious. They have a website. Let's see if I can find it. Maybe not. Okay. They have a website called FH Unity. There is a homepage. Welcome to FH Unity in our community, connecting neighbors and enhancing community living together. About FH Unity community, our mission. We strive to create a welcoming and inclusive environment for all residents. Our mission is to foster a sense of community and enhance the quality of life in our neighborhood. Take back our community. Support Wayne Anderson and Lee Fossett for the board of directors. As homeowners, we all deserve a property owner association board that listens, communicates openly, and represents the true vision of our community. Unfortunately, our current board has lost the trust of many residents due to lack of transparency and poor communication. It's time for change. Wayne Anderson and Lee Fossett are stepping up to run for the board of directors because they believe in restoring trust, improving transparency, and building a stronger, more connected community. With your support, we can elect leaders who will work for all of us. Let's bring accountability back to our board. Vote for Wayne Anderson and Lee Fossett. And then they have their own individual pages. This is the thing that we just read that was in the PDF of all 5 members. We have Lee Fossett, same thing. And then we have endorsements. What your former leaders have to say. Our group of former Fairfield Harbour presidents and directors continue to stay involved because we care deeply about the community we chose to serve. We meet regularly to discuss pressing issues facing the community and share our opinions with the current leaders. Collectively, we have more than 30 years on the board and 127 combined years of residency in the harbor from 1998 to present. Beginning in 2021 and for the past 4 years, we have become increasingly concerned about the direction of the board of directors was taking, most notably the decision to build a $10.5 million clubhouse with little community input. We have always believed our primary goal was to ensure the basic operational requirements were fulfilled in a fiscally responsible way. Fairfield Harbor is a great place to live, but it needs intelligent, responsible management that listens to what members have to say. That's how we did it. Last year, it became evident to all of us that the only way to change the direction of the board was to change the board members through the democratic process. Last year, we strongly supported Don Moore and Chris Barajas for the 2 open seats. Last year, they won by strong majority votes. This year, we strongly support Wayne Anderson and Lee Fossett. We discussed community projects and management with Lee and Wayne and have checked their references. They are the right people for this job. Lee and Wayne, as a team with Chris and Don, will ensure open communication, open governance, sound fiscal policy, infrastructure, property maintenance, long-term community needs, and homeowner involvement with the goal of stabilizing and reuniting the community. We fully endorse Wayne Anderson and Lee Fossett for the Fairfield Harbor directors. Signed, Irv Jaffe, former board president and director, Ann Simpson, former board president and director, Gloria Hodgert, former board president and director, Maury Thompson, former board president and director, Dan Engelhaupt, former director, Doug King, former director, Cindy Pellegrini, former director, and Joe Schultes. I'm sorry if I butchered any of those names, also a former director. And then we have one more piece of information while I'm on these 2 candidates before we move forward. Letter from Lee Fossett. I feel the need to clear the air regarding comments made by my running mate for the upcoming POA Board of Directors election. They were taken from our very successful first campaign rally. Our campaign's issue from the beginning has been that failure to publish comprehensive financial statements breeds confusion. Confusion breeds suspicion. And life in all a rumor mill after that. Ain't that the truth? Here are some facts as we've been able to interpret them. Fact: the auditor's report from Ernie and Company dated September 17th, 2024 discusses the Fairfield Harbor Property Owners Association year ended February 28th, 2024. Page 4 discloses that Fairfield Harbor Property Owners Association had a cash balance of $819 or $819,635 total in both reserves fund. That same balance sheet shows $203,873 in cash in the operating fund. The report is on Front Steps. Fact: Fairfield Harbor has published no comprehensive financial statements, including balance sheets, income statements, and cash flow statements covering any transactions made since February 28th, 2024. Fact: since February 28th, 2024, Fairfield Harbor Property Owners Association has borrowed $6+ million. Together with interest, it creates, in some estimates, a $10 million liability for our members. for those of us that own property here. Those liabilities, including the amount due in the next 12 months, are required to be shown on a balance sheet. There are no published financial statements showing the loan and its effect on our finances. There has been only one treasurer's report published since the loan obligation was signed. That report is a 3-page discussion of the details of the income statement for the golf course and the restaurant. It does not mention the loan obligation at all. The report is posted on Front Steps. There was a treasurer's report given at the April 23rd, 2025 board meeting. That report discussed only the POA income statement. No mention was made of the balance sheet and our liabilities. That should be published on Front Steps soon. Verbal statement by our treasurer in the February board meeting when asked, how much operating cash balance do you forecast for the end of the year? Answer, 0 cash at the end of the year. Verbal statement by our treasurer at the April board meeting. Subject to some reclassifications, I now project a profit of approximately $33,000 for the year ended February 28th, 2024. Note that profit is not necessarily cash, and it takes cash to pay a loan. Verbal statement by our treasurer when asked, how much money is available in reserve for recovery from a disaster? Answer, 0. That's why we're budgeting to contribute to that fund in the coming year. That should scare the hell out of all of us. When he said it, I think I even made some own comments in my own live stream because to have a almost 3,000 home community where we do have natural disasters. We have had FEMA have to deliver trailers here after Florence hit the New Bern area in 18? We were not living here then. We came 2 years after that. And there were still houses being rebuilt, remodeled, lifted. There still are. And the fact that we have no reserve, 0, that should scare a lot of people. Okay. Thank goodness for insurance, but insurance isn't the end all be all when we live in a community as big as ours. Verbal statements and board meetings by both our treasurer and our property manager. We have been fortunate to be able to use the dues increase that was levied for the clubhouse construction for other purposes due to delay in starting the clubhouse. Our interpretation of the above, Fairfield Harbour Property Owners Association had over $800,000 in cash in reserve in February of 2023. Our members have no idea how much we have now. It could be 0, but we doubt that. Fairfield Harbour Property Owners Association had $203,873 in cash in the operating fund on February 28th, 2023. Based on our treasurer's verbal comment, we expect that it will be reported as 0 as of February 28th, 2024. Fairfield Harbour Property Owners Association has assumed a liability of about $10 million on behalf of its members. This means that Fairfield Harbour Property Owners Association has obligated each member to pay approximately $3,571 through dues over the payback of the loan. This has not been discussed in any formal report to the membership since its inception. Given the public statements that the clubhouse funds were used for other purposes, we conclude that there is 0 underlying reserves to support timely payments of that liability. Fairfield Harbour Property Owners Association has stated in a public forum that there are $0 in reserve for recovery from a disaster. We assume that 0 means 0. However, today we have a Facebook post that claims $110,000 in that account. Note that we have spent $1.2 million to recover from Florence, and we had a line of credit to absorb part of it. A Facebook post claiming that 110,000 now substitutes for comprehensive statements. Not everybody is on Facebook. And of the what I know of at least 4 different Facebook groups, because people can't get along here, not everybody is a member of any of them. One, there I have 2 immediate neighbors here that have no social media presence. So the fact that we post things on Facebook, I love the posts that are just like, "Clean up after your pet. Make sure that you bring your trash cans back in. We have $110,000 in it." People, that's not the way to communicate. Communication implies that a message was sent and a message was received. If 100% of the people in this community are not in the forum in which you are communicating, your message cannot be implied as having been received. So I put it on front steps, put it in a newsletter, say it at a meeting, invite us all to the board meeting, make a space where we can all, even the new community center that we have a loan for like $6 million for will not hold all of us. Why? Why? So please hold us accountable. That's what we've been trying to do. And the current board hates it. But please, I'm sorry, this is meant to be reading what they're saying, but you can infer. If you've been here long enough, you know my point of view. Please hold us accountable. Publish a balance sheet to the members showing the accounts mentioned in detail, signed by a CPA, certified public accountant. We'd be happy to apologize for our facts being wrong. Shocking. I love it when people are willing to admit when they are wrong. Because we can't all be right about everything, but we all can have an opinion, right? But being willing to apologize if our facts are wrong. But the issue of failure to report in a transparent manner is very real issue. Please comply with North Carolina Statute 47F, and publish a full income statement, a full balance sheet, and a cash flow statement for the year ended 2/28/2024. It's required within 75 days after the close of the year, which means, just having worked in corporate America for so long, I think we will likely get it at 74 days and 23 hours. And it'll be in the middle of the night. And then like 3 days later, it'll have a different timestamp, but nobody will know what was changed. And then a couple days later, it'll be resaved with a new timestamp on front steps, and nobody will know what was said. That's just been my experience. Okay. So that is Wayne and Lee. Okay. So let's go back to our. Okay. I'm going to try my best here, y'all. This is Debbie Harris, and we're going to go way back to the day she was born in this bio. Okay. So bear with me. I was born in Charlotte, North Carolina, at the Presbyterian Hospital to Alton and June Duckett, and baptized on an Easter Sunday morning at the Salem Memorial Methodist Church in Charlotte. Being born into a Navy family meant relocating during my lifetime. So after growing up predominantly in Norfolk, Virginia, we moved to Newport, Rhode Island, where I met my future husband, Richard Harris, and spent the next 35 years of my life. So she spent 35 years in Newport, Rhode Island. While in Newport, I worked in the hospitality industry for over 30 years as a director of sales and marketing at several hotels, and had the privilege of assisting the state and Washington, D.C. delegations in planning the American Legislative Exchange Conference. I served on the board of directors for Rogers High School Vocational School as served on the board of directors for Rogers High School Vocational School, as well as a board member for our own HOA. I also very active in the Order of Eastern Star, and had the honor of serving as Grand Marshal for the Grand Chapter of Rhode Island. After Richard's retirement from the Newport Fire Department, we relocated to Jacksonville, Florida, to be close to my parents, who had retired in Ponte Vedra Beach. I probably butchered that, sorry. Shortly after our move, one of my dad's friends introduced me to the owner of an insurance agency where he was a commercial insurance agent. This introduction was the beginning of my insurance career, and I took classes at UNF Jacksonville and obtained my customer service license. 2 years later, after working directly under the tutelage of the owner, who had been in commercial insurance for many years, I sat for and successfully passed my insurance agent's exam. I got my license and specialized in homeowners and condominium associations coverages. Summers were particularly special as we found our way back to North Carolina to visit my family, who were and still are scattered all over the state. After my parents were gone, we decided it was time for us to move to North Carolina so I could be closer to my family, thus, our relocating to New Bern in February of 2022. Immediately after moving to New Bern, I applied and received my North Carolina property and casualty insurance license, as well as broker's and agency license. I am in the process of retiring, but do still maintain my insurance license in Florida and North Carolina, as well as my agency license in both states. In 2024, I was asked if I could fill a vacancy on the board of directors for Fairfield Harbour, which I gladly agreed to. My hope was that my years in the hospitality industry in Newport, Rhode Island, with food service and hotel management, might be an asset to helping promote the Point restaurant. I also felt that my 23 years in commercial insurance might be beneficial, as I have found over the years that property managers are usually at the mercy of their insurance agent. Being on the board of directors allowed me the opportunity to meet with the insurance agent for the harbor and review the policies and coverage we had in place. It also allowed me the opportunity to work with the insurance agent as well as the builder for the harbor club. There it is, to negotiate the best price and coverage for the builder's risk policy. In doing this, we were able to save $30,000 and obtain much more coverage through the builder than through an independent agency. We love to save money. While on the board of directors, I have been involved in the establishment of the Point Restaurant Advisory Panel under the chairman of Walter Littleton and the board advisory panel under the chairmanship of Phil Yandel. The board authorized me to remarket our insurances to see if we had access to other markets that would offer equal or better coverage at better pricing. But unfortunately, with an active lawsuit against the POA, we will be unable to obtain insurance quotes from any carriers for many years to come. I find it hard to believe that that's the reason why, when we have $0 in the bank and 10-ish plus $1 million with the with the new Harbor Club and the interest that will be owed on that loan. There are insurance companies, and we live in a storm zone and a FEMA area where we just in recent past 5, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, had Hurricane Florence hit us and decimate this area, costing us millions of dollars in rebuilding. So I find it hard to believe that this lawsuit is the singular linchpin into why we are unable to shop for better insurance rates. I fell in love with Fairfield Harbor years ago. My cousin had lived in New Bern for a long time and we visited often. I knew this was where I wanted to retire. My husband of 42 years, being the great guy that he is, had only one stipulation: it had to be gated. So here we are. So here we are. Speaking of gates, the other night we came in, we'd gone downtown to Pinky's Saturday night with some friends to watch Doc and Roll play. And we came in with our friend. It's like 11:30ish at night. No, maybe it wasn't that late. I came back. I had to take our babysitter home and then I came back. So I got back right around midnight. But I guess it was maybe 10:30 or whatever. He came through. Our little gate guy, he just opened the gate. Like I had told our friend, I called the gate. Hey, my friend Tom's going to be coming through. Here's his first and last name. This is my name, my address. Let him on through. And literally when we got here, the gate was up on the guest side. And I just yelled over to his car because the windows were down, was like, hey, the gate's up, just go on through. And then a guy came outside and I was like, well, if there was a guard in the guard shack, why was the gate open? But anyway, nothing happened, I guess. So having a gated community, I say all that to say, I mean, it's the equivalent of putting the tiniest singular rubber band around my to be read stack right here. Like, I mean, I'm gonna get to these books, rubber band or not. You know what I'm saying? So I'm so glad you live in a gated community. So here we are. I've enjoyed my time on the board. It's capitalized. And feel that I still have much to offer this community. I would love to know what that is. I feel like up until this point in this letter, we knew where she was born, that she was baptized on Easter Sunday, where her entire family lives, pretty much up and down the East Coast, where they have moved to. And we have very little information on what she sees the issues are, what she plans to do about them, other than the board graciously asked me to be a part of the board when there became a vacancy, and I gladly accepted. So because I've been on the board, I should just continue to be on the board. Like, compared to Wayne and Lee, when I got to this third page of this PDF I was like, okay. I think there will be, let's see, make sure I don't, okay, we fell in love years ago. Okay, here we are. I think there will be challenges in managing our costs and budget. You think? But I feel that this board has done an exceptional job doing this. Okay. And that's where I draw the line. If you think that the current board has done an exceptional job, the current and the immediate past board has done an exceptional job, then we have very different visions of what is actually happening here. I believe this community is at a turning point. Agreed. We agree. We agree. Do we move forward and continue to grow or stagnate or worsen? That's the exact question. Do we want to keep on keeping on with the discord and the lack of transparent communication and lack of financial statements and feeling like we have no reserve fund and are in debt up to our fucking eyeballs? Is that what we want to do? Or do we want to change course? Agree. I agree. I know of no reason why I would be precluded from being elected to the board other than not being voted for, and therefore would appreciate your vote. Please help Neil Watts and I continue to help move Fairfield Harbor forward. Your vote and our future. Okay. I'm going to pause here. So she is running with Neil Watts. Actually, I'm not going to pause here. I'm going to read Neil Watts. Let me make sure. So I'm going to skip Bob Martin. Bob Martin is the one who has been on our board before, and we're going to watch his video from the 2019 candidates night. So I have it's like 4.5 minutes long. We're going to watch it together. But let me skip over him and go to Neil. Neil is a retired captain. So thank you for your service. Neil served in the South. I love a man in a suit, y'all. Sorry, Debbie. I just got a screenshot of you, but well done, gentlemen, for stepping up to the plate, looking professional like you are here to serve. He served in the South African Navy for over 30 years as a warfare officer and nearly 20 years at sea. During his service, he was responsible for maritime operations in Africa and the counter-piracy strategy. He also served as the acting inspector general of the Navy and commander of the Maritime Warfare School. He was appointed as the maritime expert on the UN Security Council panel of experts for North Korea in 2013 for 5 years. He investigated sanctions, evasions, illicit networks, trafficking, suspect vehicles worldwide, and has the unique experience of having boarded several North Korean controlled vessels. He co-authored, love an author, 7 reports for the UN Security Council and authored the Maritime Sanctions Handbook for the DPRK. Also as a reader, and I'm just looking back up here real fast. I don't know what DPRK. So anytime we use an acronym, if we can please just spell it out the first time. That way I'm looking back to see if maybe it was mentioned above. And then my ADHD brain goes off on a tangent. What is Maritime Sanctions Handbook for the DPRK? What is DPRK? I'm sorry, hold one second. I'm looking. It has attackers might be trying to steal your information if I click on this. So, DPRK flag-controlled chartered or operated vessels intentionally disregard requirements to operate their automatic DPRK. Given the DPRK's use of maritime tactics. I just wanna know what it stands for. Oh, agencies for the Central Bank of DPRK. I'm gonna DPRK, that has to be the Republic of Korea, something, something, the Republic of Korea. I'm gonna learn something here today, y'all. Just let me maybe have to just end. What? Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Look, see? Okay. Sorry, that shouldn't have been that hard, but Peep Democratic People's Republic of Korea. God. All right. Neil currently consults on a maritime security sanctions and non-proliferation of both weapons of mass destruction and conventional weapons. You know what, Neil? Sounds real impressive. Um, okay. He has a Master of Arts in International Security and Global Justice from Brooklyn College, CUNY, and again, I'm not going to look that one up. A nautical science degree from Stellenbosch University, and a graduate of the Military Academy, the South African Executive National Security Program, and the Joint Senior Command and Staff Course. Neil is married to Cyan. God, if I butchered that, I'm so mad. I'm sorry. And they have been enjoying life in the harbor, which welcomed them with open arms in 2020. So they moved in right before we did. They have a daughter in Kentucky and a son in Alabama who come to Fairfield Harbor for Christmas each year. His hobbies include sports sailing, kayaking, and DIY. What are we DIYing? We painting? We woodworking? Um, Tying flies? What are we doing? Neil and Cyan attend Two Rivers Church and volunteer for the Fairfield Harbor Road Gang. Thank you so much. He has garnered extensive experience working with people from many diverse nationalities, cultures, and backgrounds, bringing people together and developing synergy combined with keen listening skills have played key roles in his work in the international domain with a practical, calm approach to tackling challenges. He brings a great deal of experience in operational and contingency planning, project management, it's my heart, and budgeting that would be put to work for this community. Neil intends to serve the Fairfield Harbor community in the following ways. Let's hear it. Supporting transparent communication and decision making. Okay. Being proactive in maintaining facilities and cost effective long term planning and community consultation for projects that enhance the community's lifestyle, connectivity, and convenience. And if you're talking about connectivity from the perspective of hosted freaking America, no, thank you. We got to find another way. Promoting harmony in the community, creating opportunities for neighbors to connect, ensuring fiscal responsibility, budgeting, and revenue generation, agreed. Being flexible and responsive to the needs of an ever evolving multi generational community, yes, sir. And his personal credo is no nonsense, just common sense. Good luck on this board. Seeing things as they are and doing things as they ought to be. And I am telling you, okay, so his bio, obviously, really well done. He has a lot of experience, weapons of mass destruction, being an author, his kind of international experience. He has, I think these bullets at the end, again, I know this comment was made on Facebook that Neil, you should have kind of stood alone, man. I agree. I don't I You cannot drag people with you just to keep the same old in place, and to be real honest, that's what this feels like. So, okay. They also have a page that was just launched. So let's pull that up. So very similar to Neil. I'm sorry, very similar to Wayne and Lee. They also have a Our Future in Good Hands page. And what I think is great is that it has the Fairfield Harbor logo on it, the new logo. And vote for the future of Fairfield Harbor in the upcoming POA election. Click the link to learn more about Neil and Debbie's vision for Fairfield Harbor. This says our future is in good hands. It scrolls real slow. Okay. But I'm going to just scroll down here to About Us. And if I can make this a little smaller because I have two screens and maybe I can just slide this further. Okay. About Us. As we run for the board, we are inspired by your support and filled with hope for the future we can build together. We pledge to serve with dedication, optimism, guided by these commitments. Champion transparent communication and decision making as a priority. Ensuring fiscally responsible budgeting and revenue generation. Proactively maintain shared infrastructure and long-term cost-effective planning infused with community consultation, focused at enhancing our lifestyle, connectivity, and convenience, peace and harmony in the community. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Creating multiple opportunities for neighbors to connect, adapt and responsive to the evolving needs of our diverse multi-generational neighborhood. I would love to hear more about the how. What is the tactical way in which we are going to create opportunities for neighbors to connect? All neighbors to connect in this diverse multi-generational community. I am here for you. I feel like this is a lot of lip service and not a lot of how. And I get that these folks, by and large, have not. I'm not going to be submitting my name. Have not been on the board here in this community before, which is fine. But I'm hoping that come candidates night, which I haven't gone to any of the socials or whatever because I don't want to wax poetic about what we could do and whatever. I just want to know this is what is happening. This is what we're doing. This is where and tactical approaches for how we work with the board that will still be in place to do the vision, to perform or create the vision that you're casting, right? Like that's, I'm not a shaking hands and kissing babies kind of person. So this is, Neil's bio, the same thing that we read, some additional pictures, which is great. I will say, Neil, if you watch this, or Debbie, if you watch this, since this is your website, if I click to open this in a new tab, this link right here, oh, it does come up. It was not coming up for me earlier. It was saying page not found. So he authored this. I'm not going to read this in all, but this was authored in 2013, February of 2013. So we do have some more information or work examples of things that he has done in the past. And then we have Debbie's picture and her same bio that was included. Now, the additional piece of information that I have is that I was sent 3 pieces of paper that I was told had been handed out at a recent event. And, I think these are out of order. I'm gonna start here because this looks like the first page where the little dots are, but this was sent to me, and my understanding is that this is something that Debbie was handing out at their recent social. So, Your Vote, Our Future, and I have not seen this posted anywhere. So I asked if somebody could send me the pages just so I could share them here. So I'm going to do that now. Your vote, our future. This information is to FH friends who love this community and hopefully want to help preserve it. It's crucial that we work together to stop. I think it's so funny that we use stop, not FH stop, but stop the chaos and ensure a positive future for our wonderful Fairfield Harbor. Because you're really saying that the same thing whenever you put Fairfield Harbor and stop in the same sentence, but yet you're so adamantly against FH stop. I just think it's poor form of word choice. Anywho, as a group, we need to make sure that property owners are well informed when choosing our next POA board members in June 2025. The current lawsuit against the POA, that's all of us, agreed, is much more than a frivolous lawsuit with no material substance. The suit was filed by a group of Fairfield Harbor property owners that, in most opinions, have been easily manipulated, love feeling empowered, or have nothing else to do in their lives. When we point fingers or make others feel less than or like, hey, they have nothing else to do with their time than just talk shit about this community. When we do that to a group, I can only assume that this went out to a mass of people or was intended to go out to a mass of people. When you, as someone running for a board, makes a show to put in writing that these other people have nothing else to do with their time, that reflects more poorly on you than it does the people in which you are referring. Okay. But having said that, the lawsuit plaintiffs were analyzed. The lawsuit plaintiffs were analyzed by the date they moved into Fairfield Harbor. The results are quite surprising. So you have enough information to analyze the plaintiffs. I would love to see this study. And I would love to see the study that compares whatever you're about to tell us in these bullet points to the rest of the community by the same key performance indicators, if you will, right? Like, we don't, again, just talk about these 71 people in the context of who they are and what they do without talking about that in context to the community as a whole. I mean, there are 71 plaintiffs on the lawsuit filed against the POA filed February 2025. That's 2.5% of the total, approximately 2,800 Fairfield Harbor property owners. Hardly a majority. No, it took a majority of us to vote Phil and what's his name out. That was the majority. These 71 spoke up and put their names on a sheet of paper and the money behind their mouth to say that we will not stand for our board of directors to not follow proper process and policy. So this could be free. I mean, I can't. I've done a two-part series on this lawsuit. I read through the lawsuit itself. I read through all of the exhibits. We talk through all of the information as it came out. I do not continue to follow this because I personally don't. While it's important and it's important for our neighborhood, there are other things more important than this lawsuit day to day. And I just want this lawsuit to play out the way it's intended. And that God dang, I swear. It was the majority that voted these two out, which is what everybody in this camp seems to just like point. These 71 people are hardly a majority of our neighborhood, but they are backed by a majority. Be clear on that. 70% of the plaintiffs, so 70% of the 71 did not live in Fairfield Harbor when the Drez lawsuit was filed November of 2011. Therefore, 70% of the plaintiffs have no idea what a lawsuit against the POA can do to the community and themselves. That's funny. You didn't live here either. I would be curious to know, of the current 28-ish, almost 3,000 homes that are here and the people that live in them, how many of us as a community were here in 2011? Curious to know that based on what happened in 2011 and understanding that we, including yourself, do not know what a lawsuit against the POA can do to the community of themselves. What happens to a community when no one speaks up and a POA has too much power over the people in the community and is allowed to spend their money in whatever way they choose without input, without direction, and without accountability. There are systems of checks and balances in place for a reason, but you cannot throw that 70% of 71 plaintiffs without giving me the same statistic for the rest of the community. I want to know how many of the 3,000 people in this entire community lived here in 2011. 57% of the plaintiffs, so 57% of the 71 is what we're going with here, did not live in Fairfield for the 385 purchased December of 2016. Neither did you, Debbie. Neither did you. I would be curious to know how much of the existing current community lived here in 2016. Give me that number. Therefore, 57% of the plaintiffs did not experience the Mid-South fiasco and have no idea how the purchase of the 385, the residents' roundtables after, and have no idea how the purchase of the 385, the resident roundtables after the purchase, and the projected improvements united this community, 3 exclamation points. Do you? And if you do, because you weren't here based off of your bio and when you moved in, how do you know that? Has it been talking with people? Is it posted, published, publicly available information in which you are getting your information? Is it based off of Facebook commentary? Is it based off of backroom meetings, executive sessions that aren't available to the public? Is that how you know? Was it a meeting with the former board president? Was it a meeting with the current board president? Was it a meeting? Like, I'm curious how you know. Just curious. Sorry, now I'm going to get mad. Because again, we cannot point the finger at other people about these people and how these people weren't here for it when you weren't either. And that just flies all the over me. Oh my God. Flies all over me. Amazingly, 41% of the plaintiffs lived in Fairfield Harbor 3 years or less when they joined the chaos and signed on to a lawsuit against their friends, neighbors, and themselves. I have to look at something real fast. Hold on a second. Sorry, I'm not gonna keep, like, going back and forth on my screen. I just wanna look at something really quick. Your bio says, "After my parents were gone, we decided it was time for us to move to North Carolina so I could be closer to my family, thus our relocating to New Bern in February of 2022." So you've been here since February of 2022. 2022 to 23, 23 to 24, 24 to 25. So you too, Debbie, have been here 3 years or less. That's amazing. You know what this also doesn't say is that 59% of the plaintiffs have lived here longer than 3 years and experienced what has been happening for the past 4+ years. You know what the bullet above doesn't say? The bullet above doesn't say anything about the 43% of the plaintiffs that did live here in Fairfield Harbor for the 385-acre purchase. Sorry, my lights are dimming. I don't know what's happening. Anyway, words matter. Statistics matter. Math is such a beautiful language because it can tell you one story, but there is also another story not being told here. So I love your statistics about the 71 plaintiffs. I want to know the statistics, the same indicators that you are using here, the same qualifiers that you are using here based on time and community. I want to know what for the entire community. Please be prepared to share that at the candidates night. I will be asking. And even more shocking, if this shocks you, you can't be on the board because there are so many more shocking things. Only 30 of the 71 plaintiffs, 1% of the total property owners, have personal hands-on experience with the real Fairfield Harbor community and its background. I wanna know how you define that. What is the real Fairfield Harbor community and its background? Define that, please. Because they've lived here. They've lived here for at least 1 year, right? I think, uh, Wayne, your running part, has been here the least amount of time, and when did he say he moved in? Uh, Maybe not. I'm looking. Hold 1 second. Married to Cyan, has da da da. Oh, they moved into the harbor in 2020. So he moved in 2020. It's Wayne. Wayne moved here in September of 2023. So he's been here the least amount of time, right? Oh, well, I guess we don't know about Lee. Lee didn't say how long he's been a member or he's lived here, but he attended the budget meeting in 2024. So I'm gonna say he's been here at least a year. So they've been here at least a year. I wanna know 30, you're saying 30 of the 71 have no hands-on experience with the real Fairfield Harbor community and its background. They fucking live here. How much more real does it get? You own a home here? 30 people? You're calling them out as not having experience with the real Fairfield Harbor, but they own property here. It doesn't matter how long. If you've been here for even 30 days, you know the real Fairfield Harbor. And over time, right? Because perspective is reality. Perception is reality. Over time, our perception will change as the board changes, as community changes, as technology changes, as the houses in here change, as our community continues to have an ebb and flow of new residents and folks moving. And we will continue to evolve and change, as will our perspective and reality of the real Fairfield Harbor. So just take that last bullet off. I can't believe that this was, and I hope somebody called your ass out on this at the whatever you said. Current concern, the 2 candidates that the stoppers, I think it's so funny that you call them the stoppers on the same page that you opened this with, stop the chaos to ensure our wonderful Fairfield Harbor. All undoubtedly, and undoubtedly all the plaintiffs are supporting the board, which is a majority, by the way. Moved to Fairfield Harbor late 2023. That's only 1.5 years ago. It's easy to manipulate new property owners with misinformation and outright lies. I would venture to say that when you're new to anything, you go to a corporate job, you interview for a brand new job, and they're going to tell you, oh my gosh, I love working with the people here. They're going to have you talk to other employees as part of your onboarding. It's going to be like, oh my gosh, this is such a great place to work with. We have whatever the amenities are, whatever is the draw that makes people want to work there. We get free lunch on Fridays. We have Jeans Day on Friday, whatever that is. It's easy to manipulate anybody that's new in any situation, but you know what's not easy to manipulate? A grown ass adult with their own views and opinions. Somebody who can say, you know what? I work with heavy freaking machinery, weapons of mass destruction, and I see what's happening here. I mean, that does not take, we are adults. We can want to make friends and make ourselves vulnerable and want to try something new in order to fit in with a new set of friends. But we can also keep our wits about us. That's where our values come in. That's where our morals come in. And all of those are different based off of our shared lived experiences, right? I just, I haven't even read this. I got sent this and I have not even read this, but I'm so glad that I chose to on this call. Okay, so here's it looks like we flipped the page. If these 2 men are elected, I'm mad. You see me like I'm just the plaintiffs will, and God, this is the other thing. You put this in writing and you made words in red. Is this what your talking points were? Were these your notes and somebody just happened to grab a picture of them? I can't imagine that you passed this out at a campaign rally, a social, if you will, something meant to draw the community together. Neil, I'd be real careful with who you are aligned with, man. I mean, if these two men are elected, and then in red, italics, the plaintiffs will most likely, so we're not even talking about, we are grouping these two men in with the plaintiffs, plural, for the entire lawsuit, will most likely work feverishly to convince their people. Are we not neighbors? Isn't that what you said in your campaign email, in your bio? We are all neighbors. We are all friends that live in a singular same community. We are all them there in this community. On the board to make a motion to drop the lawsuit. The motion will pass because they will have the majority. I don't know who they are. Everyone on that board was voted by their bio and or past professional experience that made them the most qualified candidate at the time to sit on that board. And the fact that you, as somebody who sits on the current board, not you, Neil, I'm assuming this came from Debbie, will put in writing, they most likely will feverishly, you are forecasting, you are placing, you don't know that this will happen, will most likely. You are casting a vision for something that you think somebody's going to do in the future and putting it out there on a sheet of paper in red and white as if it is fact. And it is not. This is the reason why I will not vote for you, why I hope no one else will vote for you, because if you will go around talking about people that also have put their name in the hat, 5 out of almost 3,000 homes, property owners in this communication, 5, less than 1% of you put your name in a hat to become a candidate. And you will, like a snake in a pit, start calling out people based on what you think they might do in the future. That's not a leader. If the POA withdraws from the lawsuit, travelers will most likely sue the POA to recoup their direct and indirect costs. Hope Carmichael will most likely sue the POA to recoup her direct and indirect costs. It's funny that Hope Carmichael would sue us when she has made millions of dollars working in this community over the years. That's cute. And she owns multiple properties here. That's cute. And that's fine. If she does, that's fine. I'm sure that as a professional board who seeks to remedy disputes, come to a same common ground to create transparent, open communication and civility amongst the discord and the chaos, as you say, in this community, that you can pave a path for these people to not sue us. And if they do, then we as a community, if the right decision is made, proper process and protocol are followed, and the right people are put in office based off of majority votes, then we as a community stand behind and back the board to make sure that these people know what the consequences will be. Because we will then be united against a common threat. We are not today, as detailed in said lawsuit, which has become way more than it was intended to be and could be resolved for free by just doing what was asked and recalling the last. I'm not even going to rehash it. I put a 2-part video together. You can go watch that. Fairfield Harbour will be bankrupt. Well, if we have $0 fucking dollars in the bank, we're bankrupt today. Debbie, aren't you on the board today? Your vote, our future. This is not a future I want. I do not want somebody who will sit in office and talk about other people that have not even had a chance to prove themselves or make themselves known at a candidate's night representing me as a representative of this entire community. God, I cannot wait for candidates night. I'll be there for the whole thing. In case you need more evidence, put it in a lawsuit. Many plaintiffs, FH stoppers, and their supporters have openly stated that when they are in majority on the POA board, they will do the following. They who? If you have evidence, put their names down. Many plaintiffs, is that the two people running against you? No. FH stoppers, we're not even on your plan here. I just you have gone outside of the boundaries in which you should have put guardrails up around, hey, this is what our social is about. My social is all about getting me elected, making sure that people know who the real me is, what I stand for, and what I plan to do in the continuation of my board. You are an incumbent. You are somebody sitting on the board today. It should be an easy win for you to continue sitting on the board. But rather than say, here's what I've done to date and here's what I want to continue doing, please vote for me. You choose to talk about other people. Sorry, I'm pointing. You choose to talk about other people. It's bad form. So we're going to fire the POA attorney, Hope Carmichael. We're going to close the golf course, close the Harbour Point, and lease it out. I think I made a post about this on Facebook. I don't think anybody wants to close the golf course or the Harbour Point restaurant. I think we want it to live and stand on its own 2 feet as something that is completely separate and aside from the community with which we live, that it should be 2 for-profit businesses. And if year over year over year over year they are in the red and our dues go to support to just make sure they are skating by, that is not how any of us want to live. That is not any amenity that any of us want to participate in. So why would we let something, when we have millions of dollars in debt that we are paying interest on, for a community center, not a rec center, the way that people wanted it? And now, in addition to needing to pay back all that money, having no reserve money in the bank and no cash in the bank, and having to pay for 2 amenities that are in the red month over month. Yeah, they need to be under different direction. And you, Debbie, as the person who was brought in with her background in hospitality, meant to drive revenue and profit to the point specifically in your bio. What have you done? Numbers. When I came into the office, this is how much the point was losing every single month, or this is how much the point was making every single month. In the X months that I have been in office, the point has had this happened, chef left, this happened. We've had turnover of 96% in our wait staff. We have also had this challenge. We have had this challenge. And these are the things that I have done tactically to make sure that it does not go under. And this is what our plan is moving ahead. As somebody with professional hospitality experience, that should be your bio. Not, I'm so glad that you're baptized and that you were born in Charlotte, North Carolina. I lived in Charlotte most of my life. Right outside in Monroe is where I grew up. I lived in Charlotte most of my life. I'm so glad. But your bio gave us nothing about what you have done. You are an incumbent. You have been sitting on the board in someone else's stay. What have you done? How do you plan to see it through? Fire Troon stating that they can do a better job of managing the community. That is funny. I love this next bullet because how many of them are currently on any committee or doing anything productive for Fairfield Harbour? I'd say that this lawsuit's fucking productive, personally. But what have you? I mean, we also have people donating money and supplies to some of our committees. We have people that are sitting on these folks that are on the plaintiffs for this lawsuit are active contributing members to various clubs and institutions that hold up Fairfield Harbour, and I would venture to say the greater New Bern area, based on those that are in the Masonic Lodge, based on those that are working at our hospital, based on those that volunteer, based on those that come in and support after school and summer camp programs, helping teachers with end of year testing, helping people read at schools, things that you will not see here in Fairfield Harbour, but they are contributing to the legacy of the children that are coming up through our community today. Do not belittle people if you don't know. In case you need more evidence, you give no evidence. You are pointing fingers with nothing to back it up. Concerned resident, I'm sorry, did I finish? Stop the construction of the Harbor Club. The building is more than half completed. There's a bank loan obligation. There's a large construction termination fine and or lawsuit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it should have never been started to begin with without community consent. Their bank loan obligation, I believe it was Jennifer and Kathleen who are the signature authorities on that bank loan. So again, signed up without our consent. And then the large it is what it is. A lawsuit and termination fees on any contract, that just is what it is once you get that far down the road. The community center is going to be what the community center is. And I hope that the people on the board come up with a way to make it a community center, not a bunch of offices, that we can have open meetings, that we can have things that bring the community together there. I do not see the vision today. I'm hoping that somebody can cast it for me. I'm hoping. Here's hoping. Concerned residents want your vote for our future. Please help the message get out to the community. So you want people to share your gossip. You give no details, you give no facts backing this up, and you want people to share this information with the community. Talk about dissent and discord, sharing misinformation and or information without facts to back it up. Not going to call any names. Oh, wait, there was one more page. Hold on. Lawsuit overview. And I'm not going over the lawsuit again. I'm going to leave this up here for a second. You can read it. You can hit pause on this video right now if you want to continue reading through this. Again, I did a 2-part series on the lawsuit. I read through the lawsuit itself, not the bullet points that we handpicked and pulled out. The entire lawsuit and all of its exhibits are in a 2-part video. I hope you take the time to watch it. If you are new here and were not here when the lawsuit was filed, if you've not been following all of the discord and chaos, I hope you take the time to watch those videos and not read this shit, but actually read the lawsuit, which is what I take you through. Okay. So last but not least, I'm just gonna have to get rid of that altogether. So that we went through their website. Let me go back here. All right, I'm going back. Bob, to you, Robert Martin. Address, phone number, business volunteer background. And Bob, I just want to personally apologize that I am doing your stuff. You're not running with anyone. And I should have, hindsight being 2020, as I say this, done you the service of putting you before Neil and Debbie so that I did not have to go on that tangent and then bring up one last person. But we are going to watch your video from 2019. And I did appreciate your post on Facebook saying that while I have more experience and education in the community and how Fairfield Harbour works, you were on the board at one point, you stepped away. I don't know the details behind that, but you did say that what you had talked about in that 2019 excuse me, candidates night video had not changed. So we're going to watch that together here. So my apologies for where you fall in this video. I'm sorry. My views, philosophy, and problem-solving techniques were shaped by my background, education, and experience. I grew up in a family-owned oil business with my father and grandfather owning 13 Texaco stations as well as our own plant. I was taught the value of customer service and good business relationships. I served 25 years in the U.S. Air Force. Thank you for your service. In multiple fields, including operations management as well as logistics management, and following 5 years in the government as mayor, Village of McGraw, New York, and the County Planning Board in Cortland County, New York. Post-retirement, I received an Associates of Science degree in mental health. That's what we could use on the board, okay? And focused on individual counseling as well as serving as County Veteran Services Officer for a couple of years, also serving as the chair of the Syracuse, Virginia Hospitals Veterans Advisory Council. That's a mouthful, sorry. I contributed my time and resources to organizations including the American Legion, Vice Commander, the Lions Club, President, and disabled veterans. Since retiring in 2012, I strive to come to the aid of residents of all ages in whatever manner I am able, most recently as the Vice President of the Fairfield Harbour POA in 2020 and 2021. Organizations living in the harbor provides the opportunity to pursue a variety of hobbies and interests. In the past, I have been an active member of the Fairfield Harbor RV Club and am also a member of the Harbor Point Men's Golf Association. I love to hunt and fish, and as a boater, golfer, and outdoorsman, I share the desire of all residents to preserve and enhance recreational and leisure facilities available in this unique community. I am keenly attuned to the concerns and issues of residents who are raising families or may have a future need to care for aging loved ones, children and grandchildren, or handicapped family members in their homes. We all want improved property values and a beautiful full service community. Equally important to the era of ever rising costs is the need to keep the POA annual assessments, i.e., dues, and the cost of services reasonable and affordable. We must strive for improvement, but we must proceed with careful, creative planning while being responsible stewards of FHPOA owned property and association funds. Yes, sir. Fairfield Harbor has given me and my wife a great deal of wonderful places, a great and wonderful place to call home, and it's an exciting time to give back through the service on the board. We have achieved the nearly 2-decade goal of owning and controlling the 385 acres for the benefit of all, but must now put energies to work on what the future will bring. A future marked by careful planning and inclusion of all. I will strive to make a unified community, giving each association member a greater voice in formulating community rules, in future planning, and in programming future expenditures. I pledge to serve the entire community while always being a forward thinker and a conscientious community member. I have no current or any previous professional relationships with any company, organization, or individual who has or is seeking to have business relationships with the Fairfield Harbor Property Owners Association. So with that, I'm going to close this. I'm going to bring this up. So let's watch. I have skipped ahead, you'll see down here, to the timestamp where Bob is going to stand up and give his, it's like 4 minutes. So we're going to listen to this together. And the audio quality is not great. So I'm going to game up my audio. I'm sorry if I blow your ears out, but just I'll turn myself back down. Okay.
I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself first. As far as myself, I grew up in a family business. My father owned a dealership, oil distributorship. We had 13 Texas codes in upstate New York. We operated for over 50 years, going out of New York State. So I basically grew up with a business background. My parents managed a business. At about 14 years old, I was working at the service station doing construction. When I turned 18, I wanted to try something different. So I went into the United States Air Force. 26 years later, I decided to come. While in the Air Force, there were multiple different positions. I started out in military intelligence. And yes, I worked for the National Security Agency. And no, I can't tell you what I did. After that, I became
a lot of sense of humor.
Individual. I trained in logistics. Did a lot of logistics planning, a lot of emergency planning, which ended up putting me in a position of production controller for civil engineering when I was in New York State. New York State, with my background in logistics and production control, I ended up at ground zero the day after ground zero, coordinating heavy equipment coming in at ground zero. Needless to say, that was kind of a hectic and very distraught period of time in my life, but we got through it just like Fairfield Harbor was able to get through the hurricane. That being said, I didn't retire until 2012. While in New York State, I served 4 years after getting out of the military as a mayor of a small community in upstate New York, which, by the way, got hit in the backpack of Hurricane Sandy. Well, at the same time I was serving mayor of the small community that I lived in, I had moved in that hurricane. So I can relate to the individuals in our community here now that lost their homes in the hurricane. It takes a long, long time to come back from the loss of the hurricane. I can tell you from my personal experiences, I don't think you're ever from the emotional loss from the hurricane. But that being said, what I'm here for, and I love Fairfield Harbor. We moved in actually 2 weeks after the hurricane for this time here.
Moved in 2 weeks after Florence hit.
We became a Florida camp. We had to evacuate from here. We came back. We were fortunate homes that were pretty much spared from the hurricane. I think God involved for that. But that, we almost had remorse for everybody else in the community that had heavy damage. And I have that remorse now. I feel that remorse for everybody here. In my heart and my soul, I plan on get elected, doing everything in my power to help those folks recover and make our community recover. I think it's recovered very well now, but I'm seeing the underlying problem that results of the hurricane. I haven't been out throughout the whole community and spoken with everybody. Which, when I was mayor, that was one of the first things I did. Was I took a personal cell phone for myself. I gave everybody in the community my own phone number, and I think our phone calls went out from about 1 every 3 weeks to about 4 or 5 every 3 days. So I like to be engaged with the people in the community that I live in. Fairfield Harbor now is my home, it's my community. I like to be engaged, and I've done us the work as a family together to build that community where we are. That being said, I know this is becoming a very eclectic community. There's a lot of retirees in here. There's a lot of us baby boomers coming in. There's younger families coming in. What I need to find out from the community is what the community wants, and then I can accept that and move forward with my experiences that I've had in the past as to how we're going to get to that point. As far as fiscal management goes, I've managed the finances of the community myself already. And that made it. We did very well in the community. We grew exponentially while I was there. Got 30 seconds left. So I'm going to just put it out there that I am your representative. So the more I learn about what you want, the more I can do with what I am.
Okay. Let me just make sure. Let me just make sure that this was the last thing I wanted to share. Bless my heart. You know what I'm saying? When you bless your own heart, that's when you know you have issues. All right. That is what I wanted to share today. So we've been through the email that came out on Friday from the Fairfield Harbor Board or the office with the 5 different candidates. So again, there are 5 people that have thrown their name in the hat for 2 open seats that will open in June. Voting is happening June the 2nd. So if you have, it starts June the 2nd. We have 2 weeks to get our votes in. It will be electronic unless you do not have an email on file. So what you need to do right now is over the next couple of weeks. So we do have candidates night on Thursday, May the 15th at 7 p.m. at the community center. And then beyond that, make sure that you are looking at all the information available to you. Look people up on LinkedIn. What is their professional bio? I know people look me up on LinkedIn all the time. I see people from Fairfield Harbor on my profile all the time. So look people up, find out what they stand for. Do not allow people to wax poetic to you without information. We literally saw an example today in writing where we are pointing fingers at other people with no actual metrics to back that up. Again, we are using numbers to share one side of the story, not the whole story. And we need to, as critical thinkers, as actively engaged members of this community who want things to be the best possible utopian society we can create here, right? We will all have differences of opinions. We all have different means, different ideas. That's what makes living in America great. We have all of these freedoms today. Use this right here and think critically about, what am I hearing? What do I want for this community? Who is backing the same ideals? Am I getting a bunch of lip service, or is there actual metrics and experience to back up what I am looking for in a candidate? Again, we have plenty of time. You have several weeks between now and June 2nd when ballots come out. In addition to coming to candidates night or watching the video back, if you can't attend live in person, you can research them online. You can look what comments are they leaving if they're not anonymous, if they haven't wiped all of their and deleted all of their past comments that looked like, hey, if you don't like it here, move. If you just throwing it out there. If they haven't deleted all of those comments, try to find some type of social construct. We are a social community. We have a ton of events, we have a ton of amenities. We want to create a sense of community, of belonging here, and we need people in office representing us who will do that, who will bring us together, not so further discord. So with that, make sure your email address is updated in Appfolio. If you don't know how to do that, and let me even see if I can do it really fast. I'll try to show you. The other day when I went to Front Steps to look up some stuff in the documents, it told me that I could not, um, it told me that I could not, yeah, let me see. Mhm. It doesn't matter. You can find me on GIS, so I'm not gonna play coy here with what we're doing. All right, so this, I just logged into Appfolio, so I went to excuse me, appfolio.com. This is just where I go /help/online-portal, and then it brings you to this page, and I just click log into your online portal. They do have apps for your phone in the App Store or Google Play Store, so you can go there. And then let's see if we can find where we go. So our account profile here, this under account profile is where you're going to update your email address. Again, everybody knows where I live anyway. So update your email address here. If you have questions or need anything additional, definitely call the office and let them know. The office number, and I'll just splash it up here for you. The office number is 252-633-5500. And if you ever need security or to call the gate for whatever reason, it is 252-636-5566. So again, Candidates Night, May 15th. Ballots come out June 2nd. Make sure your email address is what you want it to be in Appfolio. If you have never logged into Appfolio or have problems logging in, call the office at 252-633-5500. And other than that, do research on these candidates. Again, take an active listening role. Hear what they are actually saying. Marry that up with your vision that you want for this community. And on June 2nd, let's pick leaders who we believe can tactically, of the 5 candidates, can tactically get us closer to that vision. Okay? With that, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you on Thursday at Candidates Night. Bye, everybody.